2, 1.
Welcome
Only
back
one
to
clap?
Huh?
You only do one clap?
We do two.
We do
We do
twice.
2 claps, but it's 1 clap for each instance of clapping.
Okay.
Oh, so you go clap and then clap, clap?
No, I go clap, clap, and then clap, clap. So you get 4 claps.
Ah,
That's probably the
interesting,
safer
interesting.
way.
No, it's usually pretty easy to line up most of the time, and most of the time people screw it up, and now you have to figure it out anyway, so it's all good.
Okay, diving in. Welcome back to Bread and Butter, everybody. We're serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement in episode 98, and I am Doc McButt, as always, joined by my co-host Tito. Tito, how are you doing?
Doc, actually, all things considered, I'm doing pretty well, and we have an awesome guest today, Robert Warshack. Robert Warshack, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I knew that was coming. It's been good. New expansion's been good with Hearthstone. Honestly, great time to be a strategy card game player with so many games out. New Hearthstone expansions. It's good. It's good stuff. Hopefully you guys have been doing good too.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell us what you've been doing in Hearthstone that you're giving you so much fun?
Honestly, the set, the theme is cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody can agree that the space expansion as like a theme and just like the card art is really good. There's a couple cool mechanics. Starships are really cool. Reno's not very cool, but when the starships works, it's neat. A couple new decks have been opened up. It seems like there's like a lot of diversity in classes amongst all the ranks. So I like queuing up and facing against different classes every time. I hate when I see like the same class 70% of the time, 50% of the time. So it's been good to just see like every game, it's almost like it's a different deck, which is nice. Besides that, Bazaar just came out. That's another strategy game from Brainad. I've been having a really, really good time with that game. Wish I could play more, but with the new Hearthstone expansion, I've been really farming that. But the Bazaar has been very, very, it's a breath of fresh air for sure. So
Worth the wait?
what was that?
Has it been worth the wait?
As somebody who has been interested in the game since the Kickstarter 5 years ago, right? I backed it. I really thought Raynad, he was a Forbes 30 under 30, someone I've always looked up to. He streamed, one of the first streamers I ever watched, and was like, you know what? I really like this guy. He made me interested into streaming. Like, I just felt like he could make a good card game. Like, and he did. He was a small indie company. He made Tempo Storm a profitable esports company, which no one else could do. It's just while he is a bit different and he does things not in the normal bubble, he did produce, in my opinion, what could be like a top 15, top 10 Twitch game for years to come in the strategy genre, which I think is really important. You see a lot of people like Crip and Rarin playing this game nonstop. They're making content. It's getting views, lots of views. The game's not out yet. And everybody who picks up the game and plays it, if you have any sort of background in Slay the Spire, Hearthstone Battlegrounds, or Backpack Battles, it's an immediate, almost like, wow, this is like very nice. And I know what's going on. This feels comfortable. Even TFT can be thrown in there. So, I mean, I'm really impressed. I just haven't seen a game like this in a long time have this much success and be this fun. So.
And we're gonna get into that in a little bit. That's gonna be our first topic. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But anything else on Hearthstone?
Hearthstone, besides the new expansion, it's been good. A ton of new decks. I've been having fun. Views seem to be good. People joining the stream, like new people coming back, has been good. So I mean, I as a content creator playing Hearthstone and just in the strategy game realm, I'm thriving. I'm loving it. I'm having a fantastic time.
Doc, what have you been up to in Hearthstone?
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Asteroid Shaman just because I just really like the idea of that, and it's been just fun trying to load my deck as full as many rocks as I possibly can and just have them be thrown to the wind and see if I get to win or not. But also BGs is still super fun. The new season is in about a month or so. I just hit 5K, which that felt pretty nice. Haven't been playing BGs as much as I'd like, so hitting 5K this late is I'm still happy about. But yeah, dude, new expansion's fun. Reno and Quasar are bad. But yeah, Hearthstone's still a good time.
I think Quasar is bad on multiple levels because it's not a good deck. And it's also maybe people aren't really happy. We'll talk about that too. We also next week, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about more with the guests we have lined up for next week. I'm sure we'll dive a little bit more into that. But I started off playing a lot of Asteroid Shaman. I love that deck. I was playing. I made my own version and then I tried Jambres and I had fun. Kind of stalled out on the D5 floor, so I said, you know what, we're going to get our Warshack on, try to invent some things. And I started off trying to make a control, what's the Spore Master deck work?
I tried so hard, dude.
Yeah, and I kind of delved in, I kind of started going in towards like maybe some kind of black rock and roll Draenei kind of thing going on too, because there's some potential there, but and then I just said, you know what? I just want to climb. So I played Elemental Mage, and that deck is good, y'all. It's linear-ish. It's got some plans, but it's strong. It's just really strong. So I climbed very easily with that, and I've also been winning high. I'm like top 3,000 legend somewhere. So I last night I think I won at like an 84% clip or something like that for a while. So we were climbing, having a good time. So Asteroid Shaman, it's fun. But we'll talk about all this stuff too. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a nice, fairly cheap, good deck, I recommend Elemental Mage before they nerf that into the ground, which may happen. Who knows? But Warshack, how about outside of the game? What have you been doing?
Outside of Hearthstone, we changed our gym schedule up, so we go into the gym every other day. It works better to give you that one rest day. It doesn't make you think you have to go back to back, and that's been really good. Besides that, we just got back from Mexico City. First time in Mexico. Unfortunately, I had my phone pickpocketed before I even made it to the hotel, which sucked.
Woof.
But that was an experience. I mean, throughout life, you'll learn things, and one of the things you learn is inevitably something will get stolen from you, and how you deal with that is very important, because if it ever happens again, or it prevents it from happening again later when it could be worse. So, I mean, luckily it wasn't as bad as what it could be, but learning experience nonetheless, so that was all right. I went to a wedding recently too. That's always a ton of fun. One of my best buds got married. So overall, just between traveling, bunch of friends doing cool stuff, new expansions, YouTube's doing good, all the social medias. Honestly, I cannot complain. Like, it's been really good for me. I just super stoked.
Now I know you're big into Warcraft too. You've been playing. Now you play though Classic, right? You're now probably raiding Firelands, or what's your status there?
Yeah, no. So I quit when they re-released Cataclysm. That was cooked expansion. It's terrible. They should have stopped at Lich King, and then from there I joined back when they made a Season of Discovery, and I played the phases 1 through 5, and then when they released phase 5 and went and kept with the 20-man raids, I can't. I'm too old and too jaded to keep leading 20, or I guess 19 other dudes to victory, and WoW, it's just too hard. It's too much babysitting, so I actually called it quits on SOD. And then I went to retail for a little bit. It was fun, but retail was never going to keep me. So if they ever do release like Season of Discovery 2 or like Classic Plus, I would totally be down to join back into WoW. But unfortunately, it's just not the same game it was a long time ago. And the game that they did release, which was supposed to be the game, a long time ago, just remastered like RuneScape did, they have made really, really, really bad decisions in regards to just like how the game is played and development decisions. So, but my crew did download New World, and that's actually been a lot of fun. So. Well,
don't worry, they will re-release Classic again, in about 5 years. And
probably.
They'll be like, you guys like vanilla? How did you like the vanilla when we gave you vanilla? How about some vanilla? Let's go. Doc, what have you been doing outside the game?
Yeah. So my fiance and I, we just watched the first 3 episodes of Arcane season 2. Ooh. If you haven't seen the first season, please see it. You're gonna do yourself such a big favor. The animation is absolutely incredible. The art style, the acting, like, it's just perfect. You don't need to understand League of Legends at all. Arcane does so much justice to all the characters. you understand what you're watching when certain things happen. And then season 2 just starts off with a bang and is just already crazy after 3 episodes. And I can't wait till next weekend when they release the next 3. So good. Like, can't speak higher of it. I'm very excited for the characters that are coming in, because I have an idea of a few characters from League that are coming in, and I'm super excited to see them. Also, Call of Duty Zombies. Been playing a lot of zombies with my friends.
I have a question on Arcane first. Yeah. So to give you the full League of Legends experience, are you just watching, then every once in a while some voice out of nowhere just says, "Get good, noob"?
There's definitely moments in there where like you could see like the team chat pop up and someone say that for sure. But it's a great show. Again, please go watch it. You'll do yourself such a great service by doing so. COD Zombies is super fun. I haven't played Zombies since the original Black Ops. So Zombies has changed a bunch since I played. But oh man, it's so much fun. The highest I've gone, which we probably could have gone further, was Wave 36, which was super fun. Also, Pokemon Pocket came out, and ripping digital packs, no matter what game it is, gets the frogs really excited and gets me really excited. So I've opened up some really cool Pokemon cards. Got a couple Charizards, got a really cool Articuno, got a really cool Lapras. It's just a fun game. Like, it's not the true Pokemon experience, but it's like Pokemon Light. So you'll understand the rules. You only have 3 like points to earn, which we're playing like the real game at 6. But like cards are still worth the same amount of points, so that's kind of fun. So you still get like the core rules. Had my first session of my long running family D&D game for a couple months earlier this week, and that was chaos as normal. But it's just a lot of fun to get the brother and sister-in-laws around and just playing D&D. D&D is just such a fun time. And then, as always, I've been playing a lot of Commander. It's just a fun card game format, because you get to play with 4 people, and it's hanging out with friends and playing card games. So if Hearthstone had a way where you could play against 3 other people, I would do that too. But yeah, that's about it. How about yourself, Tito?
I did ask your fiance whenever you're talking Life and Ladder to make sure your frogs are making lots of noise to keep it short.
Yeah.
Those were frogs?
Yeah, I have 2. That was 2 frogs.
Bro, I thought those were vicious wild dogs attacking each other in the background. Holy shit. Yo, are you all right? Those are frogs?
Yeah.
Holy golly, dude. All right, I have never seen. All right, hopefully I never meet your frogs. I'm going to be honest.
They're so cute. I can send you pictures of them.
There's nothing cute about what I just did. What the heck? Yo! This man has rabid frogs. They're so cute.
They are.
Yo. Okay, buddy.
All right, I just sent them. I just sent a picture of each of them in the group chat so you can see.
All right, let me see this. Let's take a look at the. All right, never mind. Those are kind of cute.
So their names are Yargle and Gitrog, which are frogs from Magic the Gathering.
All right, never mind. All right, that's kind of cute. They look like homies, but whatever sounds they were making, you need to feed them like sheep or like, I don't know, dog. Whatever animals you feed these things, you need to, like, they're hungry, bro.
They're cute, but you wouldn't like them when they're angry.
They just ate too, which is funny. I fed them like
give them a Snickers
10 minutes before.
So
that was good.
So for me, outside of Hearthstone, I'm still looking for a job. And you know how everyone says, how's the job search going? You're like, well, I'm still unemployed, Dip. So what do you think? But actually, in this case, I have a good lead, had a really good interview. So I don't want to get too much into it, but hopefully this particular job, if I get it, is going to kind of really change up things for me in my life. I'd have to probably live somewhere else for a few days a week and be okay. But, got to get a job, got to, make the bills. So there's that. As far as my roof leak, this is week 3. We found out that it was a baseboard heater that was leaking in the wall. So we had that fixed, which is not covered by home insurance.
Of course
They will fix the damage created by something like that, but they will not fix the repair
problem
for it. So yeah, the problem, hey, fix the problem. So, but unfortunately, it touched 4 different rooms. So the master bath, the guest bath, my office, which is the 3-season porch, and the living room. So we're about to, on Tuesday, have all those big noisy blowers and fans and humidifiers. So I don't know what we're going to do about that, because it's not just one room that we can avoid. It's like the whole house. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But at least we're kind of moving our way, and the rest should be covered, knock on wood. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go with my kid. We went to the mall today. We found a nice spot that was in the middle of like 6 Pokestops, and we sat there for a few hours, and we just put some lures down and got like a bunch of shinies. It was fun. He loves it. So good times. And then so it's Veterans Weekend, and that means I get to get some free stuff, which I'll take. Dave and Buster's has a deal where it says you get a free entree. And usually there's some kind of thing, you get a free entree, but it's got to be one of these 3 things or whatever. So I get there, I said, hey, what can I get? And they said, you can get anything as long as it's like up to $20 or whatever. Like that's actually really reasonable and awesome. Yeah, it's really good. So I ordered some ribs, which were, I'd rather get the honey sriracha wings there. But I figured since I'm getting an entree, I might as well get an entree. After we go through all this, the guy comes over and says, here's your bill, it's $35. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was me and my son. My meal was free. He had a kid's meal and 2 drinks. So like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, well, somebody paid your bill by mistake, so we just gave you their bill. And my manager said it works out about the same.
What?
And I'm like, yeah, this is literally what they said to me. I'm like, no, look, this is free. This is about $8, 2 drinks, probably about $13 in total.
Yeah, if we're talking 15 out the door. Yeah,
and he's like, I'm like, if you need to, I can speak to your manager, or you can figure it out. Either way works fine. And then he eventually came over and it's like, we talked to my manager, and it ended up being a lot cheaper. It was like $4. I gave him a tip on the normal price of everything like that. But like, how do you say, hey, somebody paid your bill by mistake, so here's their bill?
Yeah. No way. Like, what? That is actually some crazy thought process that it took to get there for him to actually introduce that to you, and you'd be like, that was either a yes or no answer. And for you, oh man,
that's
that is crazy.
I know. I did not know what to like. Are you for real, dude? He's like, oh, this is my 2nd week. I'm like, it shows.
2nd week living, like alive.
All right. So we talked a little bit about this in our what we've been doing in games. But there's a lot of competitors for Hearthstone right now. And I don't know if you really call them competitors. Like, a lot of times games come out, and one of the games we'll talk about did come out and say, we're better than WoW or whatever. We're trying to beat WoW. But the rest of them aren't really trying to compete. But they are in the same space. They do strategy card games kind of take over the same sphere of people, right? And I want to just talk about a few of them. So Snap is a game. I haven't played Snap since January. And they seem to, it was already a crazy, greedy monetization game, I always thought. And I didn't like the way that you couldn't get the cards you wanted to, even with like a crafting system or targeting something. They were just like, hey, you don't have all the cards? Too bad. I know I've seen Ben Brode's TikToks about that. And what if you didn't get all the cards all the time? No, then you can't play the decks you want to play. And that's no fun at all. But it seems like it's getting worse as far as the monetization of it. And I've seen a lot of people and content creators themselves getting away from the game. So my first question for the panel here is, do we think Snap's dying? Warshack, what do you think?
So a lot of people use the word dying in different sense. Is the game growing at the pace it was when it first started? The answer to that is no. Like Hearthstone, games go up, they reach a climax, and then they inevitably go down, and then releasing new cards, releasing events, releasing updates, releasing balance patches makes the player base go up, and then it inevitably drops back down, goes up, drops back down, and it kind of does this like a graph until it inevitably hits 0 after it goes to its climax. In my opinion, Snap has hit its climax, as we've seen with a lot of content creators like Dexter, and who's the guy that plays with Dexter? They're like, him and him are friends, a Cloaksy? Not Clicks?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, there's like really 2 giant Snap creators, and I think they hit their peak in regards to like the amount of like views they're going to get, subs they're going to get. You can still grow, but like their huge growth spurt is over. And you can see a lot of the content creators in that game moving away. A lot of them have complaints. I don't know if you paid attention to Twitter about that game, but it was a fire for like 3 months of content creators leaving, talking about the monetization, the $100 bundles that they were putting out. I mean, it was insane, the stuff that Snap was trying to get past. So yeah, I think Snap is on the down in regards to growth, but its player base still very big. A lot of people still obviously play it. You can still make content on it. You'll still do well. But in regards to its giant growth spurt of it being like a new game and people joining, yeah, I don't really see that for Snap like anymore. Like I think it's downward trajectory, just like Hearthstone. I mean, Hearthstone's in the same boat. Hearthstone had its peak, and Hearthstone's been down basically ever since Frozen Thrones or Ashes of Outland, something like that, somewhere in that period. So still the biggest card game, but definitely still not, what it was.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers there are still, I mean, they're not comparable. Like I've been kind of trying to look at Twitch numbers lately, and I'm not doing any real study, but just kind of keeping an eye on. And, Snap had like a tenth of what Hearthstone was doing a couple times I checked. So, Hearthstone obviously isn't as big as it used to be either, but yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like they're both kind of shrinking, but Hearthstone has a lot more in the bank to work with, I would suppose.
Yeah, Hearthstone has WoW. As long as WoW is a game, Hearthstone will be alive. I mean, World of Warcraft is the largest MMORPG game. There's millions of players. Everybody comes back for WoW expansions, and as long as Hearthstone can keep pulling from WoW, you'll always have a player base for Hearthstone.
Doc, any thoughts on Snap?
I mean, not really anything that hasn't been said. It's just there's also the buffing a card, and then that card is in an expensive bundle for people that want to have the card guaranteed. That's something that Eggs had talked about. Because Eggs was also very vocal about the monetization in Snap, and it's super predatory, like very, very predatory, and it's unfortunate because Ben Brode felt so good on the Hearthstone team, and then now with the way Second Dinner's monetized, granted Hearthstone's monetized differently now than it was back when Brode was on there too, but just, I don't know, it's just weird.
So you bring up Brode, right? And a lot of people think of Hearthstone, and they think of Brode, and they think of like his character and his personality and how much that was just like delightful and laughter and stuff. But like, I saw a lot of posts when he left, and I think it rang a lot of bells for me as he was a good person, and I think he did do good, and I think he had a lot of great ideas, and I think he did make the atmosphere of Blizzard better. However, he was one person amongst many who made Hearthstone a great game, right, when he was there. And while he is an element at Snap that does make Snap probably a good game, him by himself doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And he still has to, the game still has to make money. It's still owned. The IP is not even owned by Delicious Cake, right? They Second Dinner. Sorry. So Second Dinner, and they're getting paid out a lot to make this game by whoever owns Marvel, right? What is that? Do you know who owns
Disney.
Marvel? Disney, right? So Disney funded them like at the start like $30 million or something for them to like get rolling on this, and I'm sure they want to return, right? So it's like, it's not, if he's on design, if he's on like user interface, or just like how the game feels, like the game feels great. Like when you play cards, it feels great. The game plays great. The core of the game is good, but like the monetization, like you said, it's always been the monetization with Snap. That's always been the core of its issues, is how you get cards and monetization and progression, right? And all that really just comes down to is you have to pay to play stuff that you want. And it's at a price that is unreasonable. People will pay to play, but not when it's unreasonable. I couldn't play. As a content creator, I wanted to play Snap. I really did. I wanted to get in on it. I wanted to make content on it. But I wasn't willing to pay thousands to play with the new cards. That's crazy to me. And I wasn't going to make an audience think that they had to either. So I didn't play it.
And what I understand from like when Eggs was on here talking and stuff is a lot of what they do is they'll have the new cards come out. And part of this is good in the way that like we always wish Hearthstone when they come out with a new set, we want those new cards and the new archetypes to be prevalent, to be the thing that everyone wants to do. But the way Snap was doing it is doing it is that they make the new cards so good that you have to have them, so you have to pay for them. And then as soon as the next set comes out, well then okay, now we'll finally nerf Loki. Now we'll finally nerf this. So that way those are not longer the things that you get to do anymore. Now you have to get the new cards.
Yep.
And like Hearthstone doesn't work like that. Like or a lot of card games don't work like that. And we actually wish it worked that way a little bit more, so that way when you're buying these cards that they play, like you want to see starships right now, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but you want to see the new stuff, and you don't want to just see the same old decks from last time. You don't want to be just seeing Reno Warrior or whatever it might be, Bag of Stuff Druid or whatever. You want to see the new stuff and have fun, but like you don't want it to be that you have to pay for these exact things, and then as soon as the next things come out, those things don't work anymore. And that's not what Hearthstone does. And so I think that's good, but I think that's kind of why a lot of the creators are moving away from Snap. But it's interesting. So we'll see. I like to see where Snap is in a year. Well, let's talk about the actual Hearthstone killer. The vicious parallel. So I looked up parallel. I looked up parallel the other day. And they had 514 viewers, and
That's a lot for them.
507 of them were watching Ali Straza.
That's a lot.
It is.
Shots
like
fired.
usually there's like
Shots
double
fired,
digits.
baby. Shots fired.
Half of those are people that watch Ali Straza, like that will watch Ali Straza no matter what. And the rest of them, maybe the rest of them actually like Parallel, but I think a lot of them just like watching Ali. And she's a good streamer, so more respect to that. But they did have a Celissa 3 years ago basically called out NFTs and that no one cares or wants them. And then I know Ali said, well, like run this survey in 3 years and we'll see how different it is. And she ran the survey 3 years later, and it actually was just about the same. And I actually kind of thought it was like 92% of people didn't care. So obviously Parallel came out at a time where they released right before, I believe, Masters Tour, and or a big event. It was a big event that Tice was in, right? And then Tice was going to do a Hearthstone event, and then he had this event too. And like I remember it being a big thing, and they came out being like, it's like Hearthstone but better because you get to keep your cards or whatever. You own your cards or whatever. Yeah, the typical NFT nonsense. But I think that game is, whether it's interesting or not, it could be the most fun game in the world. I ain't going to touch it because I think it's stupid. Have you played it at all? What are your thoughts on the game there?
So I guess to introduce, I did get, I think Ali Strauss is awesome. I met her. She's really nice.
She's awesome.
Yeah. She's always supported like crypto and that sort of like new space. Right. But for Parallel, I think it's a little bit different. They invited me to the invitational for like 20 or 25K or 50K, and I ended up just not taking it because I didn't feel comfortable with it. I felt there was something a little bit like not right with how they were like, they don't have the numbers. They don't have, there's nothing there for them to be making these giant tournaments. Like, I don't know the support, because if Hearthstone doesn't do it and that they're the largest online card game, how is this tiny fraction of a game pulling hardly any numbers, no YouTube presence, no Twitch presence, hosting these giant tournaments? It just doesn't add up to me, right? So like that's one thing. I'm not going to say how or anything. It just doesn't make sense. Too good to be true kind of thing, right? In regards to what I've seen, a bunch of my buddies are playing it. Apparently you can make a lot of money while playing it. And if you play, again, Dan D Money plays it. He plays it competitively. He's in like the $100,000 tournament that they're in, and he makes like $500 a month off playing it. And he like plays, I don't know, an hour a day or something like that. And I'm like, how does that work? How do you play an hour a day and make $500 a month? And apparently if you're a high enough rank and you get this like prime coin and item, again, seems too good to be true. If you can do it now and make money, great, do it, sure. But like, just again, doesn't seem sustainable, doesn't seem right. Then they released this trailer for like a battle royale they're working on that's like NFT as well, and there's no gameplay. It's just like basic cinematic of what could be considered maybe a game. No combat, no gameplay, just a bunch of characters standing around, like maybe what could be considered a possible landscape developed by like a 5th grader with some crayons. Again, just like if you're saying Parallel is going to be great, and then you just release this trailer of a battle royale you're making at the same time, and Parallel is still what looks like an Excel spreadsheet, like, I just don't see it. However, I think that word NFT is used and abused. I think it has a terrible stigma. I do think being able to play an online game and get like a thing in the game that's worth value, right? You play a game 100 hours, 1,000 hours, and you open or create this thing that's legendary or mythic, and you can sell it on a marketplace in the game because you've worked hard and it's worth $100. I think that's cool. I think that should be a thing. And actually, Bazaar does that. They haven't said they do yet, but if you've played the Bazaar, they literally have like a mint date of when you open up like a chest for winning and you get like a skin. Your skin has like the number, like the skin that you've opened, so like it'll be 0, 1, 200, 300, whatever the person you've opened it, and then a mint date of you opening it, and then eventually you'll be able to sell it like on the Steam marketplace like they do CS:GO. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, imagine you play Hearthstone and you open up like a signature Ysera, right? And you could you already have Ysera and you just sell this Ysera for like $10. Like, and then you can buy like 10 Hearthstone packs with that or something. I don't know. I think that's cool, regardless of however they do it.
They did that with Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
not Baldur's Gate. I'm sorry.
I didn't play Baldur's Gate, but
no. I'm sorry. Diablo 3.
They did have an open market with Diablo 3, and then they realized people were making a living off playing Diablo 3, and they said, you know what? Hell no. No one's going to make money on our game but us. We're shutting this down. And then they turned it off. That's why. Because people were making money and Blizzard wasn't.
So, Doc, any thoughts on Parallel? I haven't watched the game. I just have no interest in the way they came in. Like, I'm not big into the whole NFT thing. I like the concept of, like, the original idea of NFT to me was like, hey, you get a skin. I buy a skin for Thrall. I can use it in Hearthstone. I can use it in Warcraft. I can use it in I put the skin on something in Overwatch because I own it and I own it everywhere and it's mine and all that. But because that's kind of how I thought these things was going to work. But I'm just not interested in the game, so I never follow. Especially, I hated the marketing program when they launched it because they just tried to like upstage things by buying their way into it, and they didn't. It was like they were trying to buy credit they didn't earn, and they did it by enticing high level, which is how you do it, I guess, but high level streamers for Hearthstone and other games and just buying them. And that's just icky to me. So I just had no interest in it. And apparently no one else did either because everyone's just watching LA Straws and not really Parallel. Doc, what are your thoughts on Parallel before we move on?
I don't watch Alistraza that often, but I was trying to branch out in the Hearthstone creators I was watching. I caught her in the last 10 minutes of her Hearthstone section of her stream, and then she went into Parallel, which I had never heard of it at this point. I was like, oh, okay, new card game. Seems cool. I'll stick around and watch it. And then she started explaining what it was to chat. And I'm not into crypto. It's just not my jam, right? But also NFTs definitely not my jam. And then being a friend with a bunch of game developers, NFTs and games, definitely not my jam. From a moral standpoint, from what I have seen my friends share their concerns and stuff about trying to put NFTs in games, it's just not my jam. And so if you enjoy the game, cool. I'll never play it.
But I know what you are playing is Pocket Pokemon. So Doc, what are your thoughts on Pocket Pokemon?
Oh, dude, honestly, so much fun. And I know I had mentioned it a little earlier, but right now there's 3 different card packs that you can open. There's there's the Charizard packs, the Mewtwo packs, and the Pikachu packs. It's Alpha. It's I forget the actual name. It's of each pack, but each pack has a different card pool. And then there's only 4 cards in each pack. You get 2 free minimum. I mean, you get 2 free packs a day. If you do dailies and do your quests, you can get more. Opening packs, you earn points to craft free cards. Um, but it's fun. Like it's just Pokemon. Like you actually have to slide your finger across your screen to like rip the pack open, and you can open it from the back or you can open it from the front. Like you get a carousel that pops up and you get to select the pack that you open. I don't think it changes what pack you're actually going to grab, because when you click on what pack you want to open, that's just default. I'm pretty sure the one that you're actually going to get, because people have tested it. You click the pack, you immediately shut the game down, and then your game already registers that you opened a pack. Because there was this theory that like if the corner was bent, it had like a higher chance of having better rarity cards. But I don't know. It's just I think Pokemon TCG is a fun game because I've played it for a while. And just having like Pokemon Light, where you can have like a friends list and like just not have to be hardcore Pokemon like the normal Pokemon TCG app is. This is just Pokemon Light, primarily focusing on collecting. You can have like a highlighted card, or you can have like a highlighted like trade binder, basically. It's super fun, and eventually they're going to unlock trades that you can actually like trade cards with your friends. But there's also like Wonder Pick, where you can go through and see however many recent packs that were opened, spend a few points of a specific current time currency for Wonder Pick, and you have a chance to grab any card out of their pack. You get a card, but if you're looking for a specific card, you have a 1 in 4, 1 in 5. There might be 5 cards in the pack, but you just select a random card, and then that's the one that flips over. That's the card you get from someone else's pack. You can send them a thank you, which gives them in-game resources. So if you open up a cool pack and people try to pick it, they can also send you in-game resources. It's fun. It's just
so you could have a Mewtwo, and then someone picks it from you, and you're just like, okay, gee, thanks, buddy.
Well, no. So you open the pack. Your pack data is like saved, basically. So say I opened up the Mewtwo, Warshack was going on, looking through, saw this pack I had opened. There could be like a Charmander, or Charmeleon, a Pidgey, and a Mewtwo. He could pick the pack I opened. It shows all the cards. They go face down. They shuffle. They spread out. And then from the back of the card, you pick one. And then it flips. And that's a new card that you got from someone else's pack.
Oh, but you still get the card too. In your
Correct.
Pack. Okay.
Yeah, you still get the card. And then afterwards, they can hit like a thank you button. And it just gives you some in-game, like an other in-game currency.
Warshack, you look a little disinterested in Pokemon Go here. Not Pokemon Go, Pokemon Pocket Pokemon. Not your jam?
Pokemon Pocket.
Pokemon
No,
Pocket.
I played it like a couple months ago, and moved to New Zealand, of course, to play it in the closed beta. And the collecting, like Doc said, super good. Card art, really good. Makes you feel good when you open cards. The gripe with me is there's no Game Pass opening packs. Like, there's nothing. You open packs, you get collections, which is like huge. Like, the whole point is it's called Pokemon Pocket, and you know, other than pocketing your money that Nintendo does, you know, that it's just a collection game, and that's fine. But like for me, I want to actually play like a card game inside of the game with the cards that I open, and there's not really much of that yet. Granted, game's still new. There's a lot of space for them to grow. So they could really implement a rank system. They could implement like rewards and stuff for playing. But right now, like just playing the game, like the actual, like playing with the cards you have doesn't do anything. You don't get anything for it. So like the only thing you can get stuff for is opening packs. Like you mentioned, you get 2 free packs a day, and you can get some currency from completing quests. Which again, quests are completed by just opening packs. But for the majority of the time, like it really incentivizes you to pay to open packs from the 2 or 3 months I've played the game so far. So I do log in every day and open 2 packs just for the sake of opening packs. And if I do need a collection and do need to make content for it, I can. But like the actual game, like play the game, like strategy card game, there's nothing there. It's very, very, very small.
All right. Well, the opposite of that apparently appears to be the Bazaar. I have been watching. I've tried to watch people play. To me, it looks like backpack battles. It also looks like just watching because most of the time I get into like the middle of a stream and the person's not explaining what's going on. They're just doing the things, and it looks like watching a slot machine. like one of the
Yeah.
fancy ones. And I was like,
That's
yeah,
the
it's
third
like-
time I've heard that quite a bit, that it looks like a slot machine. Interesting.
and it's just like I'm sure that when you explained it, the little bit I watched of you before this started, you were talking at least a little bit of strategy. Oh, I understand. This now is for my big shield. I know that means anything to me, but at least you were explaining some things. For the most part, people just start playing and they just kind of get absorbed in place, almost silent. And I don't know what the heck's going on. But I definitely look like backpack battles to me, and it looked like backpack battles. And apparently, you also have like that single. So, what is the Bazaar?
Okay, so the best way that in my head I classified the Bazaar is it's back. So, all right, Hearthstone Battlegrounds in the form of it's like an auto battler, and you're like picking cards, selling them, refreshing the shop. You have a board, you can upgrade that board. Battlegrounds. Then you have Slay the Spire, where you're going against PvE, but also there is PvP in Bazaar as well. So you're playing against monsters and PvE things. You're getting their skills. You're getting to build a deck. You're getting to see things that you wouldn't normally see. You have an econ. You have money. You have a life total. And then you also have backpack battles where you have limited space. You have arrangements you need to make where on the board, like where your positioning matters. It also, you can quit out the game and rejoin it at any time and go exactly where you were in your progression. So it's like if you have 5 minutes to play, great. You got 2 minutes to play. You can make one turn, finish it a couple hours later, even the next day. So it has a lot of really great elements from each game pulling into one. To explain the game, that's going to take a 3-hour video. But like I can explain it through other games, like the elements, like the core elements of other games all in one. So if you like TFT, you like Slay the Spire, you like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, you like backpack battles, you're going to love the Bazaar for sure. Guaranteed.
Fair enough. And now this was, like I said, this was Raynad's, because Raynad always says he wanted to make his own children's card game, or however he decided to describe it.
What his original game was so much different than what we have today. Like I watched a lot of his videos going over like the development of the Bazaar and like where he started and all of the things he did. And then like, dude, they scrapped months and months of like just stuff. He was like, we worked on this for 3 months and at the end of the day, it wasn't fun. Back to the reset 3 months, start from here again. Because this was, you know what I mean? It was crazy. Yep. I could not believe like the level of just like depth that went into creating what would be like, you know, in my opinion, looks like a AAA game, especially strategy game. But it was originally a card game. It was a Slay the Spire card game, and now it's like I said, like an auto battler, BG, Slay the Spire, backpack battles, TFT kind of game. Is crazy. So,
what happened to backpack battles? Like this was like I saw everyone playing it for a while,
yeah,
and all that. Now it's just gone.
So very interesting. So going back to the Bazaar, Raynad always wondered why companies didn't do open source when developing a game. He's like, hey, there's no way we can conduct the level of research required within ourselves to make a great game. Why don't companies use feedback from the community? You know, there's thousands of players ready to give feedback and talk on Reddit and all this stuff. Like we need the players who are going to play their game to give us the feedback we need to create a great game. The problem is that was when you release parts of your game that you work on to the public, people are going to steal things. So, what was it? Super Battle Pets and Backpack Battles literally took core game mechanics from the Bazaar before it was released. And the reason Backpack Battles fails is because it wasn't a full game. It was a piece of the Bazaar put into a game. And the only reason Backpack Battles did well is because they just took the matchmaking system and the item system in the Bazaar, but failed on everything else because the Bazaar wasn't developed to that point yet. So they just took these things from open source, made a quick game, took them a couple months, released it, and that was it. And then what did Backpack Battles live for? A couple months? What'd you say, like 3 or 4 months, which is exactly right. Like and then there was nothing left because that was all that was developed that was willing to hold on a player base. And it got a player base exceedingly fast. People loved it. But the problem was Backpack Battles didn't do anything with it because they didn't make it. It wasn't theirs. They copied it from the Bazaar. They took it, tried to make a quick buck. Like, that's a super backstory, super deep. But yeah, it's in Super Battle Pets took the matchmaking system from Bazaar. Backpack Battles took the auto battler and the item system from the Bazaar. Both those games together took course, and then the Bazaar went into closed development and stopped releasing updates in regards to what they were doing because of those two games stealing those mechanics and then releasing a game shortly after.
Because so that makes sense. That's why it does look like Backpack Battles to me, because Backpack Battles
those games
Bazaar.
copied it. They literally said, "Oh, that's a great thing. We're gonna take it. We're gonna develop this exceedingly fast, and we're gonna pump out this half-assed game. It'll make a ton of money, and like it'll die in a couple months, but we don't care because it'll be good for a couple months."
Fair enough. Doc, any thoughts on the Bazaar or Backpack Battles?
Never played Backpack Battles, never played the Bazaar. I'm a fan of Raynad. My buddy Tom Locke, he used to play professional Magic the same time Raynad played professional Magic. So I'm just happy that a friend of a friend, the thing he's been spending a big chunk of his recent life doing, is successful so far. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's a different kind. I haven't played the asynchronous turn game like that in a really long time, and that's a part of the Bazaar that really interests me. So I'm just excited to be able to get my hands on it whenever that may be.
And this is what I think the asynchronous part of it is what I think that Hearthstone tournament mode needs to be. Like, I always thought that if we ever got like a tournament mode, it should be like a sit and go for, like, remember when poker was real big, online poker, where you could do, like, you could play a match, and then if you've won a game, then the next you just get into a table that's 1-0 in that particular bracket, or 2-0 or whatever like that, and it didn't matter if you played it right away or not like that. And I always thought that would be how the way Hearthstone tournament mode could work, but just having that kind of you join in whenever, and you just get mixed in with a group of people that were on that same level. So I don't know. I think it's exciting. I'm glad. It's hard to follow watching a stream. Like, I don't understand why there's so many people watching the Bazaar. People play it just because I watch it and I have no idea what's happening. But I think if you watch enough of somebody that actually describes it well, probably like Dog or you, Warshack, or somebody, then you'll pick it up. But it's a lot going on at once. Like I said, it's just when you play your turn and it does all the auto things, it looks like a slot machine. It just does. So cool.
Think of Battlegrounds, right? Like, if you've never seen Battlegrounds before in your life, Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and then like you watch like a turn, you'd be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So,
but it's like, at least with Battlegrounds, it's Hearthstone cards. So if like you played Hearthstone, it's doing something different, but you could kind of pick things up fairly quickly. With the Bazaar, it's like all these like symbols and things, like these graphics that you don't know what they do. And same thing, I'm not putting it down at all. I think it looks great.
No, I know, I know what you're saying. There's a lot going on. It's hard to, when watching a game, it's really important that when a viewer joins, they know what's happening, who's winning, who's losing, what's occurring, right? It's a huge turnoff when you tune into something, you have no idea what's going on. So yeah, I understand.
So yeah, I mean, like, if someone's educational, it's probably good, or someone's funny, you can probably get on top of it too. But it's definitely hard to jump in. But so we talked a little bit about this before we move on. Hearthstone has been here through all the killers, right? Artifact, through whatever that one from The Witcher was, all these other games, Gwent, all these other games that were supposed to be like the Hearthstone killer. And I think that's always a dumb approach. You don't want to try to kill a game. You want to find your own space. And if you can kind of grab some of the same viewers or the same game players, that's great. But like, I don't think you should ever try to go out there and market yourself or try to position yourself as the killer of another game, because it's just never going to work, especially somebody that's been around like from the beginning, like that's been entrenched. But what do we think is about Hearthstone that has given it staying power versus all the other ones that have just faded away? I know you mentioned WoW, but is there anything else there that kind of really makes Hearthstone stand above and beyond these other kind of things that come out?
I mean, there's a lot of factors. I mean, visually appealing, Hearthstone they do a really good job at making the game look good. The board looks good. When you play a card, it feels good. The animations look good. So, I mean, there's that. It's very simple at the start. You know what I mean? Like, on a fundamental level, like, if you've never played a card game before, Hearthstone is probably the easiest to get into. So that's obviously for new players looking to get into a strategy game. There's that. But it's Backbone. I mean, dude, it's WoW. At its full core, WoW is a beautiful game. There is an unbelievable amount of lore in WoW. They have infinite things to pull from that players can relate to. They have so much room to just do whatever they want within the Warcraft lore. I mean, truly, they've while it seems like they've done a lot, they've hardly scratched the surface. And that at its core, if it didn't have WoW behind it, it would not be nearly as popular, even if maybe not popular at all. I mean, just strictly based off the Warcraft lore that carries Hearthstone. Like that to me is like the most. I would have never played it if it wasn't for WoW. I got into it because it was a WoW card game. I said, I love World of Warcraft. I love strategy games, especially card games. This is perfect for me. Been with it for 10 years now.
That's fair. I kind of wish they didn't limit it to Hearthstone. I mean, to Warcraft though. Like from the beginning, it was Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. But I don't know why you do that. Like when you have StarCraft, like imagine having a StarCraft set that kind of can mix in here, or even Overwatch, or something where you could just do that.
Mercenaries.
Yeah.
Well, no. But I mean, in Hearthstone, not. Mercenaries was the follow-up to Battlegrounds, when Battlegrounds all of a sudden started making, galvanizing their player base, and they're like, whoa, wait, we didn't monetize this. Let's do something that we can monetize. So Mercenaries could have been monetized in something, because that's what they were trying to do. It didn't work, and yeah, I mean...
Doc, do you want to go?
I wasn't going to touch on Mercenaries. I was just going to tinfoil hat the mini set. So if you want to touch Mercenaries first, you totally can.
Okay, yeah. So the way they described Hearthstone a while ago was that the client Hearthstone, when you load up Blizzard and you click Hearthstone wasn't a game. Hearthstone is a client into a game that has game modes and other ways to play Warcraft strategy games. So you have standard Hearthstone, but then you also have Battlegrounds. You also have Tavern Brawl. You also have Mercenaries. You have all of these other games within Hearthstone that are within the Warcraft lore. You know what I'm saying? That are strategy. So like Mercenaries was a way for them to include StarCraft with Diablo and things. They took from other places of Blizzard's lore and put it into the Hearthstone client, into another game within Hearthstone. Well, Hearthstone wasn't supposed to be standard, like just standard Hearthstone. You know what I mean? Hearthstone was supposed to be a client, like Steam, where you play all these other games, and all those other games was strategy games based off Warcraft lore.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it started off as a card game. It started off as, let's take the WoW TCG game.
That was their initiation to it. Yes, that's the very start. But from then, their idea has grown into like Hearthstone is not just a game; it is a much more than that.
Sure. And while I agree with you, yeah, we had Diablo, and we had the Diablo guy in Mercenaries. We had I guess somebody else, I don't remember. But like that wasn't like a theme. That was like, let's bring Diablo in. Let's bring this. Like how awesome would it be is if like, hey, this the next Hearthstone expansion is Protoss or something. And
that'd be ridiculous.
But you know what I mean?
Like it'd be crazy.
Like you have so much more to pull. And imagine like, oh, hey, there's a bunch of people that love StarCraft, don't really care about Warcraft. And all of a sudden now we're kind of introducing a little StarCraft into our Warcraft. And, it's the same, like who cares at this point, who cares? Like as long as you have, you bring in Protoss, you bring in all the other things, and now you have new tribes for Battlegrounds and maybe new ideas for that. Now you have infinite new ideas for sets, and you also kind of
the thing is, how big is the start? Like, so you have to think of like who's gonna want that, right? And for me and you, I'd have no problem with them introducing StarCraft, right? But for your average Hearthstone player, right, do you think they'd have any idea, like these StarCraft people, like if they introduce them, like would it matter to the average Hearthstone player if they introduce StarCraft stuff?
It could. Well, maybe not. I think it would. I think it would add a little more interest for some people, but I think that for the average Hearthstone player, I don't think they would care necessarily as long as they're getting fun new expansions. But I think that it gives the Hearthstone team more to pull from. And then
more room,
yeah, and let's just say that they are coming out with a new they want to do new StarCraft thing, because they still have that IP, or they want to do, actual PvE stuff for Overwatch or whatever like that. They can actually, you could bridge universe. And the thing I never understood is when they want to make money so bad with this stuff, why they haven't timed things together. Like Warcraft just released Evokers, right? Like for for the last expansion. Why didn't we have a Hearthstone set that released the new character Evoker? So it's now in Warcraft, it's now in Hearthstone, and you can make the joint. It's like all right there, and they just never took advantage of it.
They would have to do Monk first.
No,
and then they can do
no, you wouldn't, because all you have to do is do it with what you're releasing. Like they just released the War Within. This is like this. They brought back what's his butt to do the on stage at BlizzCon, and he's like, "Oh, we're going back to things, and now we're really taking this seriously, and now we're doing this epic trilogy." And like, why didn't one of our Hearthstone sets be the War Within?
So they did it once. Shadowlands and Castle Nathria were as close as we've ever gotten.
But it was after Shadowlands was done. It was past Shadowlands. It wasn't not in parallel. Far. Well, no, it wasn't that far, but it was after we were on to the next expansion by then. It had some proximity, but it wasn't like, hey, we're doing the War Within and we're doing the War Within Hearthstone set, and here's this thing. And I think there could be some power to that, where it's like, I don't know. I think that Hearthstone's awesome. I think what they're doing is great. I have no complaints. This is not me saying Hearthstone sucks. They should try these other things. I just think that you have all this other stuff you could also be pulling.
Better.
It always could be better.
It always could be better. Yeah. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be thinking of ways to make it better. It's when you stop caring that something's truly dead.
Yeah, it's like when people stop complaining about your game, then you have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, this somebody brought that up in the WoW sub the other day, and they're like, "Wow, no one complains about this anymore." And I was like, "Because no one cares, because we all quit."
Yeah,
there's no one left to complain because we quit. That's it. Like, you lost your players. So,
fair. Yeah. But no, I think I'm glad Hearthstone's been thriving. It's still doing well, even if it's not it's needier. It's still doing really well. I think that the reception for the set has been pretty good for the most part. Even Zeddy's being like 80% positive. So overall, I think it's happy. Let's talk about the new expansion. Well, how about just initial impressions? Doc, you've had it for a few days now. What's your initial thoughts here?
Well, outside of Reno shutting down the core new mechanic to the expansion, and outside of the non-games that Quasar can make, I honestly think it's in a pretty decent spot. Quasar is just an undeterministic infinite combo where they can mess up and not actually kill you. But also, if they don't draw the card, it's just a bad deck if they don't draw the card. So that's what feels bad. And then again, Reno, we've done it. We've rotated cards out early before with Gen and Baku. Granted, Reno's kind of a different story, and he's on Reno's out at rotation, right?
Yes.
So it's gonna happen soon, but it still feels bad of they have this cool new board centric mechanic, and then there's this board dominating card that still exists that can just remove the mechanic from the game.
I haven't seen a lot of Reno. I agree with you. And that's always been my concern. I have not seen much Reno. I've seen a couple Renos, and I've had to deal with it. But
a lot.
Not fair.
I've seen a lot, man. It's a lot.
So, how about yourself, Warshack? What are your thoughts on the expansion? Just overview.
Hit it pretty well. I think you came out with this brand new cool mechanic, right? And it gets countered by what was previously already a very popular, very dominant deck archetype, Highlander, which is Reno. And a lot of the decks that have previously been good, we're starting to lean back into those. A lot, like I said, a lot of Highlander decks starting to see play right now. So much more big mage in the past 1 to 2 days than I saw at the beginning of the expansion. And players are realizing that the stuff that was good prior to the expansion is as good, if not better now, because these new expansion cards just aren't as good as the previous meta decks. The reason being to that is we're entering, we're entering a new year soon. We're entering a new rotation, and they wanted to make a lower power level, because if you keep power scaling, it's going to affect the reset when the cards, we lose the last sets that come out at the beginning of the year. So they have to make some sort of, the one set has to be weaker. We have to start somewhere to create a weaker set to then start basing the new benchmark off when you know what I mean? Like, it has to happen sometimes. And then we'll get some nerfs, we'll get some buffs. We may even see a couple Hall of Fames early, like Gen and Baku, like you mentioned. Fantastic points there. So, but at one point, we have to get a set that is the new benchmark of power level. And I think that's this set, as seen by almost every indicator and every player that plays it. It's like, it's cool, but it just feels weak. Like, it's there, but like, it doesn't compete. And that's the indicator that Rosticon Rumbles fell under too. As it was good, some cards got played, but it was weak. But then it set the precedent for the following years.
But I don't think there's anything like, so we're going to have Reno rotate in a few months. I don't think there's anything, I could be wrong, outside of Ziliax. Okay, so Ziliax is a big thing. Never mind. There is a big thing that probably could rotate early. But, I mean, outside of Ziliax...
a few big things. Hydration Station, Ziliax, Reno.
But you take Hydration Station, you take Ziliax out. Is Hydration Station really an outlier?
Looking at...
I mean, it was strong.
Giant on card.
Yeah,
if you take Ziliax out, maybe. But I mean, still good with Bruh. I guess that rotates too. Maybe not. All right, yeah. Maybe Hydration Station doesn't fall under that.
I mean,
just Ziliax and the other cards.
How much Beach Whale have you seen?
It's not Beach Whale. It's the mech package. Hydration with Ziliax. There's Boom, and then there's the new Stargrazer with Ziliax, and then also the Starships, because they have taunt, so you can get them. And then the Druid, and then there's a lot of stuff going on with Hydration Station and Juicy Taunt minions. But yeah, if you remove Zilly, a lot of the power is gone, and also Greybra gets rotated as well. So,
I mean, I would like to see them. I still love Ziliax as a card, as a concept. I think that they need to. It could still be modified. Like, I think you could change things around a little bit, so that way maybe you can't have certain combos.
It's been changed so many times already, man. That might be actually the most changed standard card in existence right now, Ziliax.
I think, well, maybe. So it's either that or the Rogue Quest, right?
Reno got...
No, Ziliax has been changed more, for sure.
Almost every rendition of Ziliax has been changed. Every, the options, right? Because originally it was, buff the board, its cost, the discount it gave... The cost it was for elusive and poisonous and rush. Almost everything about it has been changed. Every single form. So,
and again, I still like the card in theory. I like the concept of it. I like how cool was it when it came out? Everyone's like, this card is going to be awesome and it's going to be fun and you get to do all kinds of things. But then obviously, on Kiliax is the best thing to do for the most part. I like recursive. I like having that back in my deck, but then again, I want to play Kangor and keep having Ziliaxes come at me and stuff like that. So the concept of the card is great. The execution I thought was really good, but it ended up it was power level was too high, and always is too high, and it's kind of hard to get something like that. But I still like that they try things like that.
I don't mind they try. You're right. Like, the card itself is so cool. The design is so cool. Build your own Ziliax. You're exactly right on these points.
So what about we have Zephyrus that just came out. Like, you could do so many different things like that. What if instead of Zephyrus, it was almost like a ETC, but like you had certain cards from older expansions or something like that you could put into it or something like that. I don't know. They do really cool things. I I didn't hate anomalies. People hated anomalies. They brought them back for like a week. I enjoyed them for that week. Like, I think a week was enough. But I like when they do stuff like that. It's like, people complain that, hey, you don't try anything new, and when they try things new, it's like, well, this wasn't good. It's like, well, you have to try things new in order to see if they're good or not. Trying it inside a lab is great, but
there's a double-edged sword to anomalies, I think, because they they were so heavily favored in some decks and some and not, right? If you played aggro, you hit a super favorable aggro anomaly. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt better for one player and worse for another. Like,
Sure.
as soon as the game starts, and that isn't a good feeling to have. However, other changes they could make to the game to make it feel fresh and it doesn't feel bad is potentially, let's say you could go into standard and you could like ban a class. Let's say you hate priest, you just ban priest. You don't queue into priests. Try that for a week. Let's see how that feels. You know what I mean? There's ways to implement things into the game that make it feel different, that doesn't make you feel bad at the very start of the game because of a random outcome you didn't get to choose. Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But
you couldn't opt out of it either. Like with the being able to ban a class, you wouldn't have to. You could leave all the classes unbanned, right?
It's totally up to you.
With anomalies, you were just forced to deal with them whenever you engaged in the mode. And then anomalies went away and there was Trogal that made it, 50 or 25% of the time it would happen?
Yeah, 25%, 50 if two had it.
Yeah,
but
I mean, imagine it just ban 3 cards in a deck. Imagine banning 1 card, period. You just don't queue against this 1 card. The opponent's deck will not include this card into it. There's so many things they could do with you choosing things that give you a greater control over 1, your matchup, or 2, how you feel, or 3, your weak points of your deck. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things like that they could just do to, I don't know, to enhance your matchmaking experience.
But I thought when they brought back anomalies for that week, between not this expansion before this, right? I thought they did a limited pool, and I think they kind of learned from like the previous mistakes. So what I liked about it was, okay, what's the anomaly? Okay, it's this. So how do I game plan for this anomaly? And it made you think a little bit more about your mulligan, about like your early plays, and added a little more kind of like little strategy to it. Like, and I tried to approach it like that, and I had a lot more fun because like, okay, now is this. So I think again, small doses, these things are great, but it's just, I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
I think, yeah, I agree that doing something rather than nothing is good. And I think you liked it because it felt different than just queuing standard. I don't think I think you don't love anomalies. I think you love having to play standard in a different way. You had to think about your matches differently based on the anomaly you got, right? You like that level of depth that it provided.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I think they could do that in a way that could be even better. That just like I said, I think me and Doc are on there. It's just like when you queue a match, if you're aggro and you hit like draw an extra card every turn, you're like, hell yeah. Like, I'm just gonna throw up on board twice as much now. In a control deck, drawing an extra card doesn't really do anything, you know. So it was very matchup dependent. So I think if they could fix that, I think that there's something there, right?
But I think I felt like I was taking it more seriously than others in places. So it's like I felt like I was winning more because I was factoring in the changes better. So that made me feel smarter. But anyway, we have taken a comment out to the wrong direction here. We're here talking about the Great Beyond, and we've gone to the Great Beyond to other things. So, Warshack, what do you think is good that we expected to be good? Coming out of theory crafting, we always, theory crafting isn't a foreteller of the meta. Theory crafting is like, because you only get so many, you have to play certain cards, you can't do certain decks, you don't play a lot of, you're not playing the old decks. So it's hard to know what's going to be stick or what's not. What came out of theory crafting before the expansion when we looked at the cards that we thought was going to be good, that actually is good?
I mean, first impressions, Elemental Mage, that was standout to me. I played that for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, won every game. It wasn't even close. Deck felt good. It just does what it does. You just type in the keyword elemental, you click on all the mage cards that it includes, and then you're pretty good, right? So that was definitely going to be a standout deck that I knew was going to be super popular and very good from the start. It's picked up steam in the last couple days. Day 1, day 2 wasn't super popular, but now it's, I think, the most played deck in the game, and it has the highest win rate in the game, if the stats that I'm seeing today are right. Besides that, Big Mage and a lot of the previous powerhouse decks still very good. If any Starship deck gets popular, I'm seeing a lot of Hunter being played right now with that Starship with the Death Rattle effect to make its that trigger twice and it's like an OTK as long as it has like more than 8 attack, which really isn't that hard. If that becomes popular, every Reno rendition of a deck becomes popular. Odin Warrior is very, very strong as well because that counters the Elemental Mage in any sort of burn deck like Quiznos Rogue and all that. So from this expansion specifically, Elemental Mage, I think, is our top runner. I don't know of any other deck has the win rate and playability like that. I mean, you could think of the Quiznos Rogue, but the win rate of that is exceedingly low. But it does feel bad to play against. And it is, it can kill you on turn 4, but likelihood, not high.
I'm seeing Rainbow Shaman being the best deck right now by 4%-ish, even at top legend. So
it's this Elemental Mage just like below that?
Yeah.
It's somewhere there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, no. Elemental Mage is really, really good at it, being that you said that you thought it was Shaman. And so like the question was
Rainbow
down.
What does that run? Is there any new cards in that? Rainbow Shaman? Is that just the Bloodlust, fill the board, and then play the 5 mana, turn everything into legendary deck?
Yeah, I don't see any new cards in here. It's got the Wave of Nostalgia, the Horn of the Windlord, Razzle Dazzler.
So that's just going to be a previous meta deck that's popping up.
Yep. It's apparently doing Evolve Shaman still doing really good, probably because of the same things. Yep. But all right, so jumping ahead a little bit, since we're already looking at these things. So here is that I'm gonna look at this is Legend right now, not top 100 Legend, just Legend. Tier 1s, we have Rainbow Shaman, Elemental Mage, and Evolve Shaman. Tier 2, we have Big Spell Mage, Pirate Demon Hunter, Breakfast Hunter. So Breakfast Hunter and Elemental Mage right there are the first two. We have Burn Shaman, Razzle Dazzle Death Knight, Taurus Paladin, which that's just that has some new cards in it. So Taurus Paladin, let's look at that real quick. Taurus Paladin has Metal Detectors, Seashells, Conmen. It looks just like Pipsy Paladin, except it also runs the Oracles, Ethereal Oracles. So it's the same thing with the new card.
Yeah, just more draw and higher chance of OTK with the spell power with the 4 mana card. Okay.
Dungar Druid, Corpsicle Death Knight, Odin Warrior, Highlander Death Knight, Highlander Rainbow Death Knight, Fishing Priest, Dummy Warrior, and Mech Rogue. Those are all tier 1 and tier 2. So most of those are old decks, or at least maybe an old deck with like a new card or 2 new cards. So I if you notice, I did not utter the word Starship in any of those.
No.
So what are your thoughts on, going over this, what are your thoughts on the meta as a whole? Is it good or is it bad? Because right now, like you said earlier on, you said, hey, I'm seeing lots of decks. I'm seeing lots of different things. I'm not just seeing the same classes. But like you're trying to play new stuff. You're trying to build things. You're an innovator. All this other stuff is old. So what are your thoughts on the meta? Is it good? Is it bad?
I like playing against different classes and different decks every game. Regardless if they're old decks or new decks with a couple new cards. Again, I just hate playing against the same class and the same deck over and over. I hate it so much. So like I said, I've been seeing a lot of just different stuff, regardless of it being stuff I've seen before. As long as every game doesn't feel exactly the same, I'm cool with it. So far, the meta's been all right. I've managed to play 6 to 8 hours of Hearthstone almost every day this week, and it goes by fairly quickly. I think that's a good indication that I'm having fun and that I'm still innovating and doing things. We've played every class that I could manage to play starships. I've somehow even played Starship Mage. I'm not even sure how that happened, but it turned into a game one time. We played Draenei Mage, Light Show Mage. We when we're climbing. So, I mean, I'm just having a good time. And like I said, even if we see other old meta decks, but when the balance change happens in the next week or two, I'm sure we're going to see buffs and nerfs. I'm sure that stuff's going to get moved around even more, hopefully for the better, and make even a more balanced, maybe even new card meta. But I don't have a problem with it at the moment. This is the middle of the year. There's no standard rotation. We're not going to see the amount of new decks that people, of course, always want in the middle of an expansion cycle. Like, it's just not going to happen. We'll see it at the beginning of next year, like we always do, when we get a fresh, 3 sets out, new set in, new core set. Best time to play Hearthstone, hands down, right? But we're not going to get that right now. It's not a thing that's going to happen, and I'll take what we have.
But you don't want to wait till the next when the next expansion comes out next year. The Protoss expansion, you want to play Protoss. You don't want to be playing Starships, right? So, like, I mean, you want to be, because then the old new decks or whatever. Like, so.
Well, you got to think of the mini set. You're totally, the mini set could give Starships a whole new look, and we don't know what the balance patch is yet. So, like, there's a lot of room for wiggle right here.
Oh, yeah, and I hope, so. I think they're going to try to push Starships. So Starships are interesting because you always have these packages that they put out that they undertune and then they kind of rise up in power as they figure them out. Like the Warrior Play Your Last Rifts, that took a little while to get balanced. The Death Knight Relics took a little while for them to kind of get right. They came out undertuned. Yeah, I'm sorry, Demon Hunter. I was, you know what that, you know how you always say Death Knight.
Yeah, I know what you meant. I love the relics. They were so good.
I love them too. And it always, like, the initial Librams when they first came out took some tweaks before people started playing them. Good.
I think they got burned when Demon Hunter first came out, to be honest, when they overtuned it.
Yeah.
And ever since then, they've been really careful not to overtune. Between Galakron Shaman and like when Demon Hunter first came out, I think they're so scared to make things too powerful when they release. So,
but I would hope that they took so they had put out Death Knight, and nobody played Death Knight. Nobody played Death Knight in Worlds.
No,
China,
new class. Not a single player brought it.
In
Fantastic
fact,
point. Yeah. Oh,
they made a rule. They made a rule that said you cannot ban Death Knight. This cannot be banned, and no one brought it. I think there was one.
Not a single player.
China's having their world champions coming up soon, or whatever, like their version of that is before our worlds, and no one's bringing new decks from what I see. Like, it's all just old.
Nope. Yep.
So
there's nobody brought any new decks. There's old decks, maybe one or two new cards like the Ethereal Oracle, I believe, in a couple decks, but besides that, there's nothing new there. And you can't, when you're playing Hearthstone for money, right? And you're going for strictly the best. Do you blame them?
No.
Out on a limb and doing something crazy. But at the same time, that's where you implement rules that forces players to have to adapt. They have to play off the wall. They have to adjust. And that's where you come up with cool tournament rules that every player has to abide by. And it makes the viewing experience better. It makes the players better. And it just makes the games overall better. And it highlights and showcases new cards. But, they never knew that. But,
But this is the opposite. This is the opposite of what we were just talking about in Snap, where they overtune the new things that come out and then bring them back. Like, if you had to play, so right now everyone's bought their bundles. They now have like the new deals that they keep coming out. And right now they used to have the $20 bundle that comes out afterwards that I used to love to buy. But now they mix it up and it's like, here's 10 cards from this set and 10 cards from the previous set. I have every card from the previous set. I don't want that. I want more cards from this set. Stop giving me old packs. Stop giving me mage packs when I want to buy like a diamond skin or whatever like that. Just, stop trying to bundle these things and let me just buy what I want. But the bundle used to be great. It used to be the best thing you could buy. You get 20 packs and a legendary. Now it's 10 packs and 10 old packs and a legendary. I don't want that. I don't buy that. But like, they're doing the opposite where you don't have to, like, you play for a week. It's already been 6 days, and I already know that I don't need all the cards. I'm going to get them anyway because that's what I do. But as a casual player, if you know that you don't have any of these new cards you need to buy, then why am I going to buy more card packs? Because I know it's Odin Warrior, it's Dungar Druid, it's whatever. So I think they're doing themselves a disservice by not coming out, not so to overtune that it's like that's Demon Hunter, but a little stronger than this. And I don't mind it. I don't mind them kind of incrementally getting better, because then eventually, Starships hopefully will find its way when they've buffed it a couple times. It's not, what was the spirits in Hunter that they had to keep nerfing. So they get it either right or wrong.
Wild seed every patch.
Like those, how many times did those things get nerfed? I think for like the entire year, those were
single one.
Every patch, yeah.
Yeah, they got nerfed every time.
I don't think you could ever disenchant them.
By two things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Two things. They're too scared to overtune things. Demon Hunter and Galakron Shaman PTSD. But also, like you said with the Marvel Snap, where like it feels bad to like if you can't afford or can't get the new stuff, and it gets outshined. Like the old stuff gets outshined by the new stuff, and you don't stand a chance. That feels bad too. So it's honestly a double-edged sword. If they do too much in one direction, it's bad. If they do too much in another direction, it's bad. And to get it perfectly in the middle, it's impossible. I'm gonna be honest, you can never perfectly balance anything. Players will always find a distinct better and or worst or the most gen way to play something. You will never find a perfect equilibrium. So they're just doing the best they can with the limited team they can. And, does Hearthstone feel horrible? No. Does Hearthstone seem the best it has? No. But like, at least it's not Galakrond Stormwind meta, right? Like, whew.
But you actually want some outliers. You want some decks that are stronger than others. Otherwise, if the deck is perfectly 50-50 no matter what you play, it's impossible to climb. It's super hard and it's frustrating because you're like, well, I'm playing this. I'm not winning. I'm not losing.
Not really.
I mean, that's how I feel.
20% win rate decks. I literally purposely look up cards that have like a 0.01% win rate. And I'm like, that's my baby right there. Let's bring that bad boy up. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you my warrior that I developed before. See what you do with that. But like you're cut from a different cloth. Like if you can't find that deck that feels powerful, like if you log in and you can't find a win or you can't find a couple wins and it's struggling because the meta is so balanced that you can't find a deck that you like that's actually stronger than some other things. It's not great either. Like a perfectly balanced meta is boring for some people, a lot of people, where they don't realize it. They think they want the balanced meta, but they don't.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So you brought up a lot of things there. But yes, most players don't want a balanced meta. They want to be most players in a perfect world. They want to play a deck and your opponent can seed on turn one because they just want to win. That's the only reason they play games. They want to win. They want to win fast. So yeah. But there are players like me and off meta players who want to play the bad stuff and try to make it good. There's deck creators. There's people who take good decks and then just try to refine them, tweak them, get that couple extra percent, out of Elemental Mage. You take away these two cards, add these two cards in Elemental Mage, and boom, you went from 52 to 54. And that's where they thrive, right? But like, I don't know. I'm in favor of a very balanced meta. I like when there's 8 decks in tier 1, 8 decks in tier 2, 20 decks in tier 3. These are metas that I thoroughly enjoy because there's so much diversity and just the options to be able to play things are really out there. And, regardless of whatever's tier 1 and tier 2, we normally build homebrew decks, bottom of tier 4, most of the time not even found on the tier chart, and we hit legend with it. And those are great metas because that shows that deck building and knowing your deck, regardless of the win percentage of your deck across the board, can present you with ability to beat meta decks because you know the meta and you know what they're going to play and you know your deck well enough to beat them. So, I mean, I'm super biased because it's my living to play this game, but yeah.
Outside of Quasar Rogue, which I don't think you think needs to be nerfed, but you think is going to get nerfed. What do you think needs to be nerfed?
Yeah, I think it should. Like, it doesn't need technically, but just for the feel of the game, I think it should.
What else would you nerf right now? You're in those meetings right now. Robert Warshack. We need to know what you need to be nerfed. What are your thoughts?
So I can't dive in super deep because it'll make it seem like I know, which of course I don't. But if I did, I couldn't tell you. But yeah. I would highly expect Quiznos to get nerfed. I would definitely expect Elemental Mage to get nerfed. So if you happen to be holding back on crafting some of those cards, I'd potentially wait. Not that I would ever know, but I could, and I would be telling you, which I could. So you should hold. And some other, I feel like there might be some buffs on the way. Maybe, who knows? At the time, Starship's not doing too good, but could do good. So who knows there? So, I mean, definitely Elemental Mage and definitely Quiznos is what I can say for uncertainty.
I am looking forward. I am looking forward to the time where we actually cannot talk about these kind of things as well. But all right. So just to wrap this up, it's been a week. It sounds like this set is a hit for you overall.
It is better than some previous sets, but it is not as good as Titans. Let me tell you, the first week of the Titans expansion was some of the most fun I've ever had in Hearthstone in a long, long, long time.
Because of the Titans themselves, or just...
Yeah, just the Titan expansion as a whole. I mean, it was just a fantastic first week. It was so good. It was so good. So.
Fair enough. Doc, do you have any final thoughts on the set before we move on and close this out?
I just can't wait till the mechanic is playable. And I mean that in like the most respectful way, right? Because like the designers like worked and like whatever for it for a long time. But Reno's a problem when he can just completely nullify what the expansion wants a lot of players to do within like what is in the expansion. Like it's just a very, very unfortunate circumstance that we exist in a timeline where a card that has been a problem for a year is still a problem and just also hard counters the new fun thing everyone is supposed to be able to do. So when Reno goes away or they change how the interaction works, I'll be happy. I do think that this set is really, really high on my list right now. Flavor wise, Hearthstone going to space, never would have thought it before the announcement happened. Very happy it's there. There's just a couple changes to make, and then I think we're in a very good spot. Is what my feelings are.
You ever wonder why they make signature cards for cards that are so bad? Like you want to be able to play, especially ones that they might sell on the shop, like they're like, or a diamond card or something like that. You're like, why did you make a diamond for this? No one's going to play this. But you want to play it. The diamond looks cool. I would love to have it because I'd love to have to put this in a deck. But then you like signature, like Red Dwarf. Like what? Who's going to play that card? Like that's something that's going to happen from Yogg once in a while that you're going to be upset about. But I mean, you'll probably play at Warshack, right? Because you like playing the weird cards, making them work. But in general,
I honestly think I could be very wrong, but I like a lot of the people who make these cards play Hearthstone for fun. They are not really the best players. So maybe in their decks they actually do play Red Dwarf. Like for real. Like I would like the design team to be at least like top like 5K legend. I feel like that's like bare minimum to design cards, but like a lot of like for some of these cards that I've seen being made, especially in Diamond and just like some of the deck brews we've seen in the past, it's like, bro, this wouldn't even win it like plat. Like this is horrible. And I think that's why we've seen a lot of the creator decks now. If you've noticed at the beginning of each set now, if you look, they've now changed the decks to actual players who play the game at a competitive level. It's like they're new, that those are the brews now instead of like their creations. So
well, they're not devoid of talent either. I mean, like you have like I don't know if Chalky's still on. He was always good.
No, there's a lot of really good talent there for sure.
Gallon, second place in the Masters Tour. Cora was always a really good player. So they're not devoid of people that know how to play the game. Sage, really good.
No, but you get too close. The thing is, like when you work at a company like this and you work within this bubble, right? Like it's really, really hard to look past it. And I think we see that a lot in like, you know, day 1, day 2, like super broken stuff, right? That they just didn't see because they're too close, right? So I'm not saying that they're bad players. I feel like we need to get more competitive players in there, and I don't know. That's a whole nother rant. But yeah, some of these cards don't make sense for being Diamond for sure.
So one final thing. They've been always trying to find ways to push pre-sales. They tried giving us quarter sleeper. Bad idea. I think that was intentionally the card that they get. I think the designers did a really good job. They were saying, yeah, you need to give a card here. Take this card. It's the worst card in the set by far. Put that in. They get to play it for free. No one's going to buy a bundle for that. It's not going to be a play to win. This time around, they did the Brawl, which was, I thought, a brilliant marketing strategy because it happens during the time when the bundles are for sale. And then if you can't build the deck you want and you bought the big bundle, well, maybe I'll buy the small bundle now. And it gives you that opportunity to drive sales, but also not affect the meta and not play to win the Brawl, sure, but pay to win Hearthstone, not really. So I thought that was a really, really good thing. I think there's some tweaks they need to make for it. It kind of really stunk playing against the Warrior, the big spell mage, like they needed to keep it inclusive for people that didn't have cards, but I think there's things to learn there. But I thought it was a brilliant marketing strategy by them. What was your thought on the Brawl?
Brawl's good. Breath of fresh air for sure. Again, and spending for those who didn't play Arena and have a bunch of Arena tickets, the ability to use them to get new packs and play with new cards and to do something different. Very, very good. I think a lot of people had a ton of fun with it. He was able to make a lot of content with it. The deck limitations, I think, was another huge thing. You couldn't just play meta decks in there, right? You had a different card pool to pull from to build decks, which meant it was a different meta. Very, very good. I have no complaints, and I think they should absolutely do it again. I think that was super fantastic, and I think it could be even better next time. Make you go up to 12 wins, greater rewards. You have the choice if you want to enter. Do you want to enter 1 ticket, 2 ticket, or 3 tickets? I think having that choice is good. You just keep going. I have no issues with it. I think it was really good.
The only issue I see, not with it, not an issue, but now that everybody spent all their tickets in the brawl, when we get to the next time around, we've already spent all but the few tickets we've earned between the last expansion. I had tickets from we've all had tickets accumulating for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years because we don't play arena or whatever. Now we've spent them all in this brawl. So now the next time around, we don't have the tickets for the brawl, so we'll have to spend gold. So it'll be an interesting dynamic because it'll be a little shifted because it won't be as many free games.
So what they could do is they could add it as a Twitch drop. Like you get packs, but you also get these tickets, which are only can be spent during this time frame, right?
Yep.
So
good.
I think that's an idea that they'll probably capitalize on at some point. Like Worlds is coming up. Don't know if it's too early or not after that to implement that into like World Twitch drops. The 30th WoW anniversary is coming up. They could find a way to throw that in there too, maybe, who knows. But I think adding it as a Twitch drop reward on top of also getting packs and not taking away from packs earned would be a good idea to keep like having an inventory of those tickets.
I like that idea, except and it's great for creators. Like I'd love to have those things going on, whatever. I'm sure Warshack loves to have anything that drives viewership, right? But the problem is, I think that the people that watch Twitch or engage in Twitter or Reddit or whatever in Hearthstone is such an infinitesimally small amount of people that play Hearthstone, right? Like we see these people all the time, but like most of the people have probably no idea that there's actually communities around this game and they just play it, and it is what it is. And I could be wrong about those numbers, but I think that we are engaged. Like, so to us, the engaged part of Hearthstone is our world. That's like what we thrive upon. That's what we engage with day to day. But I think it's just such a small microcosm of the entire Hearthstone.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there.
But anyway, I love the brawl. I hope it brings back. I really like the set. I hope they make starships better. And like I said, I haven't played Paladin yet since the expansion launch. I hope they buff Librams because I don't think they're that good right now. I didn't think they were that good at theory crafting.
That's good. Keep them bad.
Hey, you watch yourself. Well, Doc, I think that was a lot of good conversation. I'm full, but I think I have a little room for dessert. What do you think?
Yeah, dessert sounds pretty good. So, listeners, please leave us a review. We prefer 5 stars because it helps with visibility, but give us an honest review with how you feel. Let us know the good, bad, the ugly, because we want this show to be as good as it can be for you, and also it can be as good as it can be for us. We're learning as we go, and we just want it to be a good time for everybody. So just let us know what we can do to make it more of a good time for you. Warshack, what is your favorite Hearthstone card?
Oh, favorite Hearthstone card. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is Justicar Trueheart for back in the day. The tank up warrior, and you'd have Cthulhu in your deck.
Yep.
The one that got buffed slowly, and then you'd have to end up like shield slamming your own Sylvanas to take your opponent's Cthulhu so they couldn't doom caller it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then you'd have to run what was it? The one that turned it, he would transform it into a squirrel or a dinosaur.
Yep.
That was the one. Yeah, so you had to do that so they couldn't doom caller if you couldn't Sylvanas shield slam. And the only way you could shield slam is if you had the tank up hero power, so you get the armor every turn and not die. That was yep, that's it. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, let me ask you this, a little side question for this. What is your favorite card that you've always tried to make work that just never was good enough? Like it's always, you're like, this time it's going to happen. What is your black rock and roll?
I wish I could say Light Show, but I've actually had so much success with Light Show. It's like my best performing YouTube video. We've hit legend with Light Show Mage so many times. It's the deck that just keeps on providing me with light. It's so amazing. But there was another deck that I played it for like 6 hours. and I didn't realize how deep in the sauce I was. And I won a game with it. And after the game, I was like, hey, man, guys, I'm feeling good about this deck. Let's check the win rate. I feel like we're on to something. We're 1-31. That was the only win. That was the only win that I had in 6 hours. I was so lost in the sauce trying to get this piece of to work. And it was a Warlock deck. And it was the one that it was like shuffle your hand into your deck and draw. You didn't even draw. It just like made everything cost. All the cards in your hand that you shuffled ended up costing 1 or something, I think.
It was the precursor to Quasar Rogue, but worse.
Yeah, it was basically that. But at the time, Warlock had no draw besides tap. And then so I would be running like Malagos and all these cards that would draw a ton of cards to try to work with it. And it was just there was something there. And it felt like I could get it to work, but after I went 1-31, I gave up, to be honest. That was probably, I remember that the fondest of a deck that I tried.
I tried to make Obelisk Rogue work for a long time, or Obelisk Mage, or any Obelisk deck. And now, what do you get that?
Yes.
And that card was so bad. Now you have the new version of it, which is the Mage one, right? That you have right now, where it just summons like copies of itself, and they all go pew pew pew.
Arcwing
Defender,
Commander, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's a 7-mana 4/3 spell burst. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to a random enemy.
Have you had success with that yet?
I put that in my Light Show Mage. I posted that video today.
So I guess if you want to know he had success with or not, you're gonna have to go ahead and take a look.
Good stuff. But seriously though, imagine going 1-31. Imagine your soul. Like if you could imagine how bad you would feel, you can't. The unfathomless pit of despair.
Did you at least make a good content video out of that? Of like you just failing and failing and failing?
I was so sad and depressed. I got off, and the content was never used. You don't understand. Like you can't just have it sucked from you like that. You have to have fun while making it. And I thought I was having fun until I got to the end, and I was like, "All right, guys, let's take a look. What do we got? 1-31. I've lost tens of thousands of ranks. I'm famished. I haven't drank anything. My body's dehydrated.
I never knew you
all my muscle mass.
I never knew you could fall back to diamond.
Just terrible.
I still think
everything's gone. My bank account's drained.
I still think it would be funny to see a video from you of like you being like, this deck's going to work, and then just having it just like, not work. And I don't know, the fails.
No, there definitely was something there, but I didn't have the strength in me. There was nothing left. I was a husk, man. That's when you need an editor.
Fair enough. And you figure it out. But Doc, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Discord, Blue Sky, and Twitch. How about yourself, Warshack?
Pretty much anything. So ideally on YouTube. But yeah, it'll be Warshack on YouTube, Warshack on Twitter, Warshack on Twitch, Warshack on Blue Sky. I think there's even a Facebook page for Warshack. So anywhere you Google Warshack, I'll pop up.
You want to know how Warshack voted in the election? Just go look on Facebook. That's the only place he posts that. Just because he wants to piss off Grandma. Tito? You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok at Tito Santana HS. Warshack, do you have any shout outs this week?
Honestly, don't watch Alien Romulus. I watched that the other day. Don't do it. That's terrible. And then, try the Bazaar if you're interested. Honestly, I hate to, I'm not advertised, but the Bazaar is a great game. And, give it a shot if you're interested in trying a new strategy game. It's free.
Well, you make Bazaar content, right? Now?
I do. I have a second YouTube, and I do make some Bazaar content. Not as much as I would have wanted. Honestly, the awkward timing between the Hearthstone expansion and Bazaar. My job is to play Hearthstone. That's where I make a majority of my income. So I focus on my bread and butter.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
I focus on that, and then we will dive into other things, and if it does well, then we'll keep expanding on there. But ideally, new Hearthstone expansion, you have to sink your teeth into it, and you have to really know a good amount about it, because people know when you're fibbing. You know what I mean? When you do a meta snapshot, or you do a deck overview and you don't know what you're talking about, it's very easy to see. But if it's like, oh yeah, this guy's got some games into Light Show Mage, I can see it on his face. I see the despair.
And that's the first time you've remembered the name of the podcast, because I can think every time. What's the name of the podcast again? But actually, so I was curious about this. I meant to ask you this earlier, and you just mentioned this. The timing of the release of the Bazaar was bizarre to me, because I thought that with Reynad and the way he knows things, I would have thought that he would have released that like 3 or 4 weeks after a mini set, where like because he's gonna consume and cannibalize Hearthstone creators, and the best time to do that is when everyone's kind of tired and bored of Hearthstone, waiting for the next expansion, not when the new expansion launched. So I would have been like 3 or 4 weeks after the mini set would have been the perfect time.
So that's what you think, right? So a couple things. There's a lot of moving pieces here. I'll try to get into it fast because I know we're wrapping up. Number one, he's the actual release of Bazaar is beginning of next year, first half of next year. If you think about the first half of next year, is when Hearthstone feels the absolute worst. That's when it's the stalest, when the players are playing every other game but Hearthstone, right? Like right before the new expansion of a year, around like I think March, early March is when the first expansion technically releases of the year. We get that new core set rotation. We get the 3 drop sets. We get the new set. March is the best time to play Hearthstone. However, I have a feeling the Bazaar is going to come out late January, early February, which is to capitalize on those Hearthstone players feeling bad. And every single Hearthstone streamer will try the Bazaar or be playing the Bazaar by that time. It also, right now we're in closed beta for the Bazaar. Like it's a small group of people. No one's getting paid to play it. This is all just, is the game good? Does it have roots? Is there a foundation here? Is there a following? Do we like it? Right? And a vast majority of the players who have been playing it and have paid to play it do like it, right? So while it may look like this is a really weird, sort of awkward time, right? Because you're right in the middle of an expansion cycle. Space expansion's pretty big. It's the end of the year. We have a mini set coming soon. It's actually at a fairly decent time because the game had to go into closed beta to get the feedback they need to go into open beta to get a well-polished product to then produce before the new expansion and a month or two before the new reset when Hearthstone is its most popular.
And you think it has staying power to be not a replacement for Hearthstone, but a ride along, a sidecar?
It works tangent. I think a lot of players, because it plays very differently. Hearthstone's like playing chess every day, right? You play Hearthstone and you're thinking, you're really paying attention to each and every turn. Bazaar is more like Battlegrounds. You can lean back, you can take your time. There's no rope. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to change a diaper, you need to do laundry. You have time to think about your turns, click PvP when you want, fight a monster when you want. There's infinite time to do exactly whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, but it also has the ability to get high ranks. You have the ability to achieve levels like Hearthstone where you're playing the best players in the world and potentially even tournaments in the future, and a legend system which has already been implemented in the game. So it has a lot of the good of Hearthstone, and it has a lot of the casual stuff of like Battlegrounds and Slay the Spire of play at your own pace. You know what I'm saying? So it's a completely different game. But it's a game that a lot of players, I think, who do like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, do like Slay the Spire, they will enjoy it. And especially because it's free to play. Like the game is going to be free. You just download and play. If you like it, cool. If you don't, you don't. Just what happens to be right now, the closed beta, you do have to pay to have access to it, or if a friend has access, they can give you access. But yeah, as soon as December hits, open beta, anyone can play. January hits or February, whenever it releases, free to play as well. So yeah, I do think it has staying power.
So Robert Warshack, would you say that we're friends?
Okay, simmer with that, buddy. I knew it. As soon as you heard that in the stream, I'm like, you're gonna give me a hard time about this.
So we probably should. I know we're wrapping up here, but we probably should give a little behind baseball because people are probably, what the heck are we talking about? So what is going on with this Robert Warshack?
At the beginning of every single video that I've ever made on YouTube, I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? It's Robert Warshack here. And everybody thinks I'm saying Robert Warshack here. But in fact, I'm saying Rob or Warshack here. And this was like a revelation to a lot of people in chat and in general in the past couple weeks. This has been something that's really shaken their world, even though they're telling me things that I'm not saying. It is Rob or Warshack. It has never been Robert Warshack. And I met Dexter a couple times in real life, Cantaloupe, at BlizzCon, and they always walk up and we, hug or shake hands, and they're like, hey, Robert Warshack. And I'm like, why the fuck are they always saying Robert Warshack? Why is it Robert Warshack? Why are they saying this? Like, is it how, like, why? And then finally I realized it came from Rob or Warshack.
Well, Doc, you got anything you'd like to shout out or promote this week?
Yeah. So I've been pretty vocal on here about how my brother is a film major and has been doing short films and stuff like that. I am once again very proud of my brother because it wasn't a production that he wrote or directed, but it was a production he acted in. They took third place at a film festival in Los Angeles. They got notified that they needed to show up, which means that they're either going to win or something big is going to happen. They got third place, so they didn't win, but they're still getting a few $1,000s worth of film equipment. It was a very interesting festival where they had like restrictions. They could only have 2 actors, 3 locations, and they had to have the line, but I've never drank alcohol before, worked in. So that was the stipulations, and then they could make any kind of story within those stipulations. I forget what it's called. If I can find the link to it, I can give it to Tito. He can put it on Twitter because I'm not on Twitter anymore. But my brother didn't say anything exactly. He was more of a body actor in this. They had someone voice over my brother's lines because it's in Spanish. My brother can speak Spanish, but he doesn't have an authentic Spanish accent. So they had someone dub over, but my brother did a very, very good job in his body acting. And the other actor alongside him did a very, very good job as well. So just very proud of my brother. I'm just hoping that this momentum just carries through the middle of the start of his career and onward. So just way to go, Brother McButt. How about yourself, Tito?
This was episode 98. We're 2 away from the nice round number. We've been doing this for a long time. I had a crisis of faith a few weeks ago where I almost said, hey, Doc, we need to take... In fact, I did tell Doc, I'm like, I need to take a bit of hiatus just because of personal real life thing. And just a reminder that any content creator that you follow, any person on Twitch, anyone you watch on anywhere, you don't know what's going on in their real life. So try to always treat people with kindness, and you just never know. And for some people, this might be their job. Some people might be an escape, but you don't know if their roof is leaking or if, their dog died or their wife left them or whatever it might be. So, just treat people with kindness. But I decided that, I don't want to give up on this. I actually kind of took a step back from the other podcast just because I needed to kind of still need to focus on finding work, and the more time I spend on other things is less time I'm doing that. So, but we've been doing this for a while now. And if you haven't given us a review yet and you've always like, I really should do that, I mean, we'd appreciate it right now because we have great guests on like Warshack. And I want more people to hear them because they're kind enough to spend their time with us. And the more we can spread the message of our podcast and get it out there, I think we're moderately entertaining. I don't think we're boring. So you're still here, right? And this is a 2-hour episode. You're still listening. So, just let somebody else know. And, hopefully the next 100 after this are going to be just as good, and if not better. So thanks, everybody. And I think we're toast. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Laters.
Slide 2 brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.